Why, hello there, and welcome to another episode of the Innovantage Podcast, where business meets tech to bring you a competitive edge. As always, I'm your host, Max, and we are still in the topic of discussing innovation, and innovation nowadays means AI. To help me on this wonderful topic today is my guest, Mr. Žygimantas Kocius, who is, what's your official title, by the way?
I am Chief Information Officer in organization.
Who is the Chief Information Officer of Topo Centras. Topo Centras is one of the largest retailers in the Baltics and one of the most cutting-edge ones, considering the fact that what we've discussed before the camera started rolling. But no spoilers so far. So, hi, welcome to the show. Can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi, so my background is more than 25 years in IT, starting from very low, let's say, very initial positions like IT technician. Then I grew up. I was working a lot in international companies, so that's where I got a lot of experience, how to lead IT teams, how to make things happen. And now for last 3 organizations, I'm working in Lithuanian businesses.
Well, that's a very interesting pathway, like very, very traditional one. In tech, you always try to be, like cutting edge, be modern, be kind of hip. But that sounds like a very, very linear, very understandable progression from the very, very beginning to the very, very, very top. So before I go into the questions about that, like maybe you can share some few insights to younger people starting in tech right now. And, like tech right now is fairly challenging, not like it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago or whatever. Well, how do you do at least try and repeat the same success story?
Well, everything starts with your own vision, right? Even being in the school, I knew that I will be related to IT. I was happy to have a personal computer at home back in 1993 or 94. I even remember what was that computer. It was 386 processor, 6. So it was a long time ago. And then naturally, when you know what you want to achieve, you are simply doing specific tasks to achieve it.
Mm-hmm.
So I finished school. I started studying IT matters. And even in my first course in university, I started to work as IT technician in one of organizations. Then after more than 10 years, I decided that for me, IT technician stuff or administrator stuff is enough. I would like to try a managerial role. Mm-hmm. So that's how I got into Western Union.
Oh, nice.
I was hired together with my team together same day, and that's when my managerial career started. And then everything went naturally. Basically, what is interesting, when you are doing right things, you don't need to look for a job. Mm-hmm. I'm being headhunted all the time. So I don't remember when I was applying for a job. Uh-huh. So if you are doing good things, if your LinkedIn profile is good enough, you will definitely get your dream job.
Right. For some reason, I believe you. Like, you speak with such conviction and experience of the years behind you. It's very hard to argue with that position. And yeah, there are a lot of kind of challenges today in the market, but there have always been challenges.
Of course.
Especially like in the 90s, like the fall of the Soviet Union. You can call it quite a challenge, so to speak. And where we are now is, of course, a completely different thing. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for your insight into the career path. So take notes, everyone, if you want. Just do good things, be professional, and keep true. And good things will be happening to you as well. So let's talk about the meat of our discussion, so to speak. Beforehand, you and I were working here, and we talked a little bit about AI and its role in today's tech sphere and tech landscape. And we mentioned a little bit that, it's still in the minds of many executives, many managers, many decision makers within business. It's kind of an unknown thing for, us, if I can call us in the same group, so to speak. We are in the tech world. We are kind of getting sick of it already, I would say. It's everywhere. Any single piece of software is automatically AI, and it's a quick fix to any and all solution, from writers on TV shows being replaced by ChatGPT to, to like ERP systems being replaced by the same ERP systems, but with just an AI label on top of it. So can we talk about Topo Centras then? Are you using AI technology in any way, shape or form right now? And if so, what kind?
It would be wrong to say that we are not using it.
Sure.
Because AI term appeared in Topo Centras back in 2022. Mm-hmm. Right after the launch of the first version of ChatGPT, public version of ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. I'm really happy that I had a visionary in my team, a guy who introduced it to our organization. He also introduced it to our top management. And top management decided, okay, let's go for MVPs. So we have selected a couple of MVPs. We started to dig in what is required in order to implement AI and to put the label that we are AI company. So various experiments were made, starting from chatbots, some other internal tools. Later on, we saw that it's not that easy as it appears. And to have just regular ChatGPT and to get very specific results, most probably you will not get good results. Mm-hmm. ChatGPT, from my point of view, is a very good tool for doing moderate tasks, mm-hmm. like drafting an email, to put some responses or to do some general things. Mm-hmm. But when you need specifics, you definitely must train your own models, or you need to buy specific models in the market. If you want to achieve 29% quality of AI, mm-hmm. you definitely need to use specific models.
Okay. And are you training any models? If you can say, of course, I understand that could be very secret information, whether or not you actually do.
Let me say in this word, we would be lagging behind if we would not be training those models.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I'm guessing, like, Topo Centras being a very large retailer, you have a lot of data about many different things: customer behavior, purchasing behavior, prices, history, and everything and anything in between. Not using that data to gain a competitive advantage is, like you said, would be lagging behind, and that makes sense. But maybe you can talk a little bit about the specifics of price analysis when it comes to AI, whether or not you are using any particular applications for prices specifically.
Well, most probably each and every retailer must use such tools. Mm. Some tools are AI enabled, other don't use AI at all. So we were using both solutions. Definitely, there is big research ongoing in this direction as well at the moment.
And price analysis and overall kind of predictive models and in analytics have existed for decades at this point, right? It's not a new thing that ChatGPT came out and now you can do additional analysis. Like you kind of can, sure, but it still lives in the realm of data analysis, data science, data engineering, data prediction, and so on and so forth. In my business life, we've worked with a client that sold real estate, basically positions in a particular market, and their whole business model was reliant on predictive analytics of prices, of where they would spike and when and how and if and why. And they are not a retailer, they are a real estate basically platform. And that has been a few years now. So even in my limited vision, it has existed for a while. So what would you say about the importance of data in an AI model and the quality of that data?
It's a key. You can have a lot of data, but if it is in wrong condition, then you will get very, very bad results. And most probably you will fail with any of AI projects if you are not doing your homework and you are not preparing for AI implementation. So before any AI implementation, you must be sure that your data is as clean as possible.
Any particular ways to actually make sure of that? Like, is it the only way to do that is to collect your own data from the very beginning to the very end and refine it and label it and so on and so forth? Or can you, purchase refined data already from some providers? Or
most probably regarding the prices, you will definitely purchase, and usually such data is good quality. Mm-hmm. But talking about internal data, that's where the devil comes. Mm-hmm. And if organization tend to keep that data not in structured way, mm-hmm. There was no maintenance of such data, most probably you will really get very bad results when implementing any AI solution.
Yeah, I'm guessing that directly impacts the quality of the output that you've mentioned. So 25% is kind of the initial stage that you want to target, and without good data, you're not going to hit that in any way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. By the way, AI helps to clean the data as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So if you have, let's say, product descriptions, mm-hmm. and sometimes it's a mess in those product descriptions. So using AI tools, you can fix that as well.
That's an interesting application. Using AI to actually make the data for the AI a bit better.
Yes.
That's one of the fears that everybody has right now, right? That the dead internet theory, and it's a snake that's eating its own tail, where we've trained AI models that are pushing out a lot of AI-generated content that future AI models will be based on, and then it's just downhill from there.
Absolutely. So basically, at the same time, it can be a couple of AI initiatives ongoing in organization. Mm-hmm. So one is definitely AI data cleanup using AI, mm-hmm. and another AI tool implementation, which uses already clean data.
That's interesting. Any particular tools that come to mind aside from ChatGPT that can be useful for cleaning specifically?
We were using ChatGPT for that. There are other tools, but the best results were received by using ChatGPT.
Still a market leader. Can't fight it.
Well, there is another reason why it is so. At the moment, we have so many tools in the market, and when you have a small organization, you are unable to test all of them. So we decided to use one tool, most probably. Same results we would get with other tools. But simply, we were not testing them.
Makes sense. And I'm guessing, it's still a kind of an uncertain situation on the market of where those tools will be in a year and how reliable they can be for corporations.
As I say to everyone, AI is emerging technology. So you cannot start to use it on very, very sensitive data at the moment. You need to start in small batches with not that sensitive data, and later on, when ChatGPT or other tools will get a little bit older. A bit, yeah. Most probably, we and other organizations will use AI in a much bigger shape.
Yeah, as as a leader of a smaller but still an organization, one of the leaders at least, I can definitely agree to that. One of the major concerns, for example, for us is privacy. So, like, what kind of data do you want to upload to ChatGPT? Some company somewhere in a different country with nebulous desires and plans and goals that started as a nonprofit that has recently decided that, you know what, profit is good. Maybe we can do something with all of this stuff that we're doing. And internally, when we were considering different AI solutions for different parts of the business, Microsoft has been offering its Copilot basically as a part of its environment, which we already were a part of. Our data is already in SharePoint. Microsoft is already there. You cannot do anything without it. And then the Copilot becomes an easy next step, because then you at least know that it's the same type of corporation having the same amount of data, and you're not creating additional risks by distributing it and being not so sure of the privacy of that data. And Microsoft has been fairly adamant as to the privacy of the corporate data that they gain access to. And they have the trust of the market, being on the market for so long and working with the market for so long. So for us, for example, we accept the limitations of Copilot. We don't have as much data of our own to base our customer behavior on, so we are not that reliant on it. And for limited amounts of things, like you said, the moderate tasks of like drawing up an email or, the working on a table and refining some stuff in our CRM system, Copilot has been more than acceptable for now.
Well, Copilot is implemented in our 365 solution. However, at the moment, I don't really see the business case to purchase those licenses. It's too early to do that, because it's just the beginning, and to purchase licenses for all the organization, it would be too much.
True.
And return on investment would be questionable. But talking about the developers, they must use it right now. Copilot, and if you are using Microsoft solutions, Microsoft development solutions, you simply must use it.
Why is that?
It's very simple. It saves at least 20% of developer time.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Especially when you count towards the budgets of yearly how much you're spending on development, cutting 20% of that, that's insane. No, that's where the ROIs are. And what about the quality of the development then? Don't engineers become overworked, under-focused? Will that lead to just having less engineers and less quality of the work in the long term?
Let's look at from different angle. Maybe those engineers will do more things. They will be able to work on more tasks and so on and so on. But talking about AI and developers, it's very simple. AI will not work without developer.
Yeah, that's true.
So developer is the one who needs to read that code and to make adjustments when needed. Not if needed, but when needed. So what I want to say, I don't see the possibility that developers will disappear in nearest future.
Yeah. I would not want to live in a world where code is being written by code and that code is trained on code that was written by code. That's just too much. Even for me, like at least some human guidance should be there. And even if we're not talking about, the kind of the movie stuff, about AI becoming sentient and everything like that, it's just about the quality of the work. Human ingenuity, human creativity, it exists everywhere, especially in engineering. A lot of people may not understand that, but there's actually a lot of creativity that goes into creating an engineering solution.
There are, if I remember it right, there are 5 levels of AI generations.
Mm-hmm.
So at the moment we are in second.
Okay.
In second phase.
Mm-hmm.
So we still have a very long way to go. And one day, most probably, AI will surround us a lot. Even right now, there are a lot of tools which are using AI solutions. We simply don't know about that.
Yeah.
Tools, services, you name it.
Sure.
It's already, but the number or percentage of AI implementations will definitely grow in very big numbers.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point that you bring up, is how much do we actually know of what is already currently AI, and especially us being, terminally online, especially after the pandemic, you don't see, you don't hear, you don't understand when you're actually maybe talking to an AI or something was written by an AI. And now they're making a lot of progress in terms of video and photos. And one of the kind of the current, or, maybe not so current by the time this episode comes out, but one of the topics that I've read recently is that there's a very famous YouTuber that does tech reviews. He released an app for wallpapers for like $50 a year that you have to subscribe to, wallpapers. Come on. And like a lot of those wallpapers were generated by AI. And his stance on it is like, hey, the artists decide themselves what kind of tools to use. I don't police it. So then you're paying basically for an app $50 a year to have a selection of wallpapers that maybe even the humans didn't make. Do you know who made it? Do you know who didn't make it?
Regarding all those startups, let's name such businesses as startups.
Sure.
Okay. Basically, it's huge amounts of companies who simply were established because of AI.
Yeah.
But I would say that 90% of those 90 or even more percent of those companies will die because they will not catch up. Yeah. Or generic technologies, AI technologies like ChatGPT will conquer those startups.
Yeah.
So I really, if you are running business and if you want to buy some AI solution, please make sure that this is not a 2 days old startup.
That's a very also poignant thing to point out. Like a lot of AI startups are just GPT wrappers,
Absolutely.
right? You just buy the API access keys and then you build like a front end on top of that. And hey, we have a startup and now it does something specific. What it actually does is have a couple of instructions for on the back end for the chat GPT. And that's it. That's a very uncomplicated thing to do, especially if you outsource most of the costs to somebody else. Like you take some money from investors to develop the first version of the app, and then you just buy the access from OpenAI, and that's it. That I agree with completely. Like even with the big boys, it's very hard to trust them at the moment. You don't know again what they're going to do with your data. You don't know when and how will they develop their solutions and where the limitations will be in the end and how it will impact your business, especially if you're in a position like yours where there is a lot of things to impact. And like trusting startups at this stage is a very, very hard thing to do.
And this is the reason why we simply canceled some of our MVPs as well, because we saw that ChatGPT was evolving.
Mm-hmm.
We started using those other AI startup solutions, and we saw that they are simply unable to catch up with new versions of GPT.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that again in my very limited perspective as well. Like I always want to try and branch out. I always wanted to use different solutions, and the main thing I am dissatisfied with Copilot, or at least the limited version of Copilot, is that it's just not as good as ChatGPT in the end. Yeah. I want to use the whole range of functions that ChatGPT does, and it's very convenient to do so, but a small kind of, voice in my head always talks to me like they are offering a very convenient service, too convenient to be true, like Netflix in the beginning, for example. Yeah. You get access to all movies in the world for a very small price. But then with time, it's like, okay, maybe not all movies in the world, maybe not for a smaller price as you thought. And maybe kind of with some time, there are now like 10 or 20 streaming services that each have their own piece of content, and everything costs like 10 times that what Netflix used to cost 10 years ago.
I would put other perspective here that we are miles and miles away from the world. I'm talking about European regulations.
Yes,
and we are not using a recent version of ChatGPT. I mean, it's a recent version, but it's not full. Same applies with Apple and iPhones.
Yeah,
it's at the moment it's not available in AI is not available in iPhone in iPhones in the European Union.
Mm-hmm.
So we are very, very good at regulations, but at the same time, someone needs to understand that we are stopping the progress.
That's main topic for debate, right? Regulations are good, but for an emerging technology, when we don't really understand what we can regulate, that really stifles innovation, and not just, not just businesses, but governments and entities like the European Union. Like, it is useful in some things, definitely so. In other things, hard to say at the moment, but maybe in a few years, it will be as useful in other things as well. So should we limit this thing right now or
not? My point of view would be that we should be monitoring it, but not limiting.
Mm-hmm. But where do we draw the line? Like, how do you monitor something that is, private property? You cannot get access to the source code of ChatGPT, and you don't really have any tools to enforce it if you do want to do it. So what do you monitor for?
Most probably, it is possible to track what kind of data is being used. You need to work closely. I mean, regulators need to work closely with the developers of such tools like OpenAI, Microsoft, other companies. And I'm sure that working together, they will achieve results, good results for every party.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's also a good point. That it all starts again with the human connection. It's easy to forget that behind these solutions, behind the companies, there are actual people, and behind the governments as well. So making that first step and trying to understand each other, what the government would expect from these solutions and what the solutions would view themselves within the kind of the societal makeup of our world within a few years down. That's
Yeah, like an example, it's a very simple example. Lithuania for some years was fintech heaven, let's say. So a lot of companies were established here. A lot of companies grew, and now they are international companies. So let's do same with AI initiatives. Let's announce that we are not going to regulate in one of European countries. We will test it, we will monitor it, we will work together with developers, and I'm pretty sure that it would be good even for the country who allows to do that, because economics, invested money in this area is huge. Mm-hmm. So definitely there would be gains for the country as well.
That's an interesting opportunity, I would say. Like it's a hard one to actually jump upon, especially for Lithuania. We are not a big country. We are not the leaders of Europe, so to speak. And we'll always probably follow the larger kind of policy that is being set up. While other countries are in other positions. For example, the US with their lax regulation, let's call it like that. And other regions of the world, like the UK not being part of the EU anymore, with them also probably looking for opportunities to get a leg up on everybody else. How would you see that? Like, how do we, as a small country, like how can we make an impact through our local regulation when everything around us controls us, basically?
Simply leading by example.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you set legislation which allows for such a companies to establish here in Lithuania, and to start working, to do a little bit less regulation than in European Union, I'm pretty sure that we would win a lot.
I would love to see that as like a community member of the startup communities and the investment communities and the tech communities. It's lovely to see that thrive. You do see new companies being opened up. You do see a lot of them being successful, and you do see unicorns being born out of Lithuania. And I don't see a reason why even more can't happen out of here, especially now when you have the access to the global market in terms of talent, in terms of possibility, investment, and everything else. And a lot of people have moved here. Myself, for example, I've also moved here fairly recently. So that's an opportunity that can definitely be used. But yeah, that kind of brings me back a little bit to MVPs that you and I talked about. You've already done a few, like you mentioned yourself, and some of them you've judged probably good enough, and most of them you judged not good enough. So having had that journey, how do you feel would you approach an AI MVP in the future? What to look out for, how to structure it, what's good and bad? Can you share some insights?
Surprise, surprise, it's definitely project management, which comes in, and you definitely need to follow all project management principles.
Yeah.
But on top of that, it's you need business needs to have very clear idea what they want to achieve. Sometimes not only in this company, but I hear that there is some kind of vision from business that we must be an AI driven company and so on, but there is no any specifics what needs to be done, what kind of matters needs to be resolved by AI in this company in order to be AI-enabled business. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and definitely, before moving to any AI project, please check your data quality.
So that's kind of the bedrock, right? The data and the quality of it that is then being structured through working project management practices. AI is AI. AI is the latest tech hype that everybody is talking about. You cannot avoid it in conversations, of course. But you've been a professional for many years in this sphere, and you've seen these hypes come and go, and you'll probably see many more until you're retired and happy with like a robot made on the moon. I don't know. So talking generally about digital transformation, can you share maybe some insights into how to approach large-scale digital transformation projects in larger-scale companies? What separates a successful digital transformation project for example, in e-commerce, since that's the current experience that you have, from an unsuccessful one, where I run a shop that sells camera equipment, right? And I want to digitize everything. How does that even happen, or how does that has happened historically in your experience?
Historically, companies were trying to implement very, very custom solutions in order to be competitive in the market. However, at the moment, the world goes a little bit different direction. So my slogan is as standard as possible.
Standardization.
Meaning that how the hell you can be so competitive with your own tools when there are sharks like Oracle, Microsoft, okay, let's name it Salesforce, who definitely understand the market and they are producing really, really good tools. What's the reason for you to implement those custom solutions when solutions are already in place? So digital transformation starts not from the systems. Digital transformation starts from reviewing your own business processes. And during the course of the years, there are process on process, there are additional features added to the process, and so on and so on. And usually when you are going through the process with the business people, and you ask, guys, why you are doing the loops in this process? Oh, Žygis, it's because of historical reasons. And
I always love this response.
You will get this response many, many times. So if you are not keen to change your own existing processes, you should not be even talking about digital transformation, digitalization, and so on and so on. Because like I mentioned, digital transformation starts from reviewing of your own processes and making them as lean as possible. And when you review those processes, only then you need to decide which system is most suitable for you. Of course, there is no system in the world where you will not be able to make at least a couple of changes. That's fine. But like I mentioned, my slogan is as standard as possible. So I still leave some space for custom developments.
At least for now.
And
Left.
most probably forever.
Yeah. So there is still place for custom software being developed, being maintained.
Yes.
And where do you see that space being? Is it something specific in the processes that is always custom that you can't really standardize, or is there no real player?
Yeah, well, let's say if you have monopolies of the market, then definitely you will not have standard solutions in the market to purchase.
Sure.
Another reason is legislation.
Mm-hmm. So what specifically about legislation? Like, does legislation...
The legislation is different across the countries. So most probably you will need to implement different solutions per country.
Oh, yes, that makes sense. And different countries, of course, some are more digitized, some are less digitized, and you have to adapt to those kinds of processes as well. For example, in Lithuania, we are very digitized, I would say. Not the best, of course, in the world, but we're getting there. We're fairly nice. I can do most of my things online, both in terms of business and in terms of like personal life. I don't really need to go and with a stack of papers to like an accountant and then do an audit that way. Like most of the things are done online.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, when I was establishing my own company, I was not required to go in any governmental institution. Everything was done online. So
that's one case where you have to have your systems be prepared and be able to submit everything and work with online systems.
Yeah.
But then in other countries, you don't really have those. There are some things are still working very much offline. Like you said yourself, why is it offline? Well, we were doing it since like the days of the kings, when in like the Middle Ages, since Europe, we've been doing it this way. So let's continue doing it in the same way. And you're like, okay, yeah, well, that's not the most convenient way to do it. Let's innovate a little bit. And they're like, yeah, sure, we'll think about it. We'll do something with it.
Yeah, I want to add, if you are a startup, most probably you will also be using some kind of custom solutions.
That's true. That's a lot of the time. That's the value of the startup.
Yes.
The digital know-how, the digital solution that you are building. So that makes sense as well. Maybe you can give us some examples as to what custom software you're currently using in Topo Centras, or at least in your environment.
We have built our own ERP.
Oh, really? So why is that? That sounds something that could be standardized fairly easily.
Yeah, well, when company runs business for a very long time, it was historically decided that this development needs to happen inside the company. I don't know the root causes because I was not there. But we are still using. We have plans to move away, but let's leave it for the future.
Yes, somewhere in the future it will definitely happen. Well, that's very interesting. I was not expecting that, to be honest. A few years ago, I would have definitely expected that. Any large-scale retailer would have their own ERP system. That makes sense. Nowadays, of course, with standardization, that becomes less and less so.
Basically, if a retailer is using even standard solution, you name it, it can be SAP, Microsoft tools, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
Most probably it will be extremely customized. Extremely.
Yes. From the custom software development perspective, which is what my company does, what we see a lot of the time is that you're moving away from a project being built from the ground up. You don't come in at an idea stage with like ideation, and then you just move on from there, developing a whole ERP system from the very beginning. You either come in with a very long list of legacy that you want to update, maintain, refactor, restructure, rewrite completely, and so on. Or you come in with like a partner of an existing one of the big boys like Dynamics, Salesforce, any other solution, any other thing, anywhere, and you just kind of do customary adjustments to the real business cases of the clients that come
in? By using those either in-house ERPs or very, very customized ERP solutions in the companies, it's very difficult to move away from that. And sometimes the best way to do that would be to build a separate environment, completely new environment, and gradually move the features from old systems to others to new systems. Because to migrate, let's say, everything in during one night, most probably you will not succeed.
Most probably. So there are still cases where you can succeed, theoretically.
Well, my longest migration was during the weekend. We started on Friday. So it was 48, close to 72 hours.
Oh, wow.
But in order to do that, we did 2 dress rehearsals. And the first dress rehearsal we failed. Then we fixed things. Second one was more or less okay, and during the original kind of migration, we were able to succeed.
Wow, that's quite an achievement. Like a whole migration, 72 hours.
Yeah.
Kudos to you. Kudos to you. That's something that does not happen a lot and does not happen efficiently a lot.
When you plan it accordingly, then you can achieve it. But you need to be very, very strict, and you need to think about each and every piece.
So again, it comes down to planning, to understanding where and why you're moving to, and how it all plays together. So from the very beginning of our conversation, that's basically how you've built your career. It's very similar to how you built a successful migration of 72 hours. Plan ahead and see where you're going. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So we've talked a lot about AI and the general digital transformation cycles and the successes and failures of them. Do you believe that somewhere down the line, like the digital world will replace the physical world completely? Like AI will make the decisions for us in terms of business? Because like you said yourself, a lot of the time when you are implementing a digital transformation, you need to think about business processes. And AI is already kind of okay at drawing those out, at least from a standard point of view. It's not very good at customizing those, I feel. But if you want to build something from the ground up, a business process that is very, very standardized and very, very predictable, ChatGPT can help with that fairly well. So maybe that's the answer, of giving everything away to AI. And then they build the processes up, select the tools around them, complement those tools with other tools, edit them, and everything works without us even being the wiser.
I really like Matrix movie.
Yeah, me too.
I like fantasy.
I started doing it. Yeah,
I really like fantasy. However, I don't really trust that this will happen with the AI, and AI will stay as a human assistant and not vice versa.
So it's up to us to figure out the business processes, the limitations, and it's up to us to work on that mindset of, well, it used to be that way, so let's continue doing it that way. Yeah, there's still a lot of challenges on the table before we're ready to consider even giving everything away to AI. Despite what you may hear from everybody that's an AI evangelist, so to speak, I don't think that AI is going to be there just yet. We still have some time. Okay. yeah, like we also talked a little bit about pricing and database pricing and AI that can influence that pricing. And a lot of the time nowadays, I would feel that everybody would agree that the prices are too high. Very simple thing, right? Everything is getting too expensive. The prices are just too much. And the shareholders of many companies expect constant growth, even with that situation where it's already kind of feels a little bit too expensive comparing to what most people earn. So do you maybe see a situation where using AI and data models, where some unethical decisions towards pricing may come up for specific regions, specific prices, like, again, psychological tricks that get you to pay more for the same stuff?
Well, if company is not transparent, they don't need AI to do bad things, right?
Yeah.
So we have various companies in the world.
Yeah.
So I trust my company. I'm sure that we are working in ethical manner. So I don't really trust that this may happen in my company.
That is good to hear. So I will know where to buy my next, I don't know, monitor or a PC part. I'll go to Topo Centras because I believe that's a very important thing. Like ethics in business is something that is often forgotten and often kind of just put on the back burner. We have a lot of other stuff to figure out before we get to ethics.
Yeah.
But to be honest, like that's a very important thing. In business, you're like, it goes like that. You've just started out and then it's 10 years time and then you're in a situation where the foundations that you've laid 10 years ago are now what you're working with. And again, like you said yourself, this is how we used to do it. And if you build a culture of an unethical behavior because, well, that's what we have to do to survive, then you're going to be used to doing it further down the line.
And it doesn't matter what kind of technologies will be in the future. I'm sure that there will be some part of companies who will act unethically.
Yes. And I believe it comes down to the ethical companies to showcase that you can do business in an ethical manner, that you can have a competitive advantage by being transparent, by understanding your customers better, by offering something valuable to them, rather than just trying to squeeze every single thing out of the market that you have. That's at least my naive wish that it would be that way, and time will show. But for now, I definitely agree that there are ethical companies, there are unethical companies, and they both exist. They both exist, and they have their place. We will see which one of them moves forward. But yeah, thank you very much for our conversation so far today. It's been very insightful in my mind. I believe that the topics of digital transformation and the ethics in business and the humans that play a role in it and how we used to do things and everything is still very much relevant to our day-to-day, regardless of the size of your company, regardless of the nature of your company. And specifically for e-commerce and for somebody as large as Topo Centras, it's nice hearing that ethics is a consideration. It warms my heart to do so. So before we end our discussion, is there anything else that you would like to add upon it? Put a cherry on top into our discussion today.
So it's very simple. AI is just a tool. So there will be a lot of emerging technologies coming in the nearest future. So don't put all of your effort in AI.
I feel that's a very nice sentiment to end on. Do not trust everything to AI. Use it as a tool, like any other tool. Understand its limitations, understand its purpose, and understand that it cannot solve every single problem for you. The gist of things, the core of things, is still people. People that make the decisions, people that do the things that make everything in the world turn and grow, and so on and so forth. Thank you very much for tuning in to listening to us. And tune in next time. Listen to us on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. And if you find us somewhere else, also listen to us over there. Leave us a comment of what you thought about today's episode. Subscribe and like and share, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.